Okay, folks, here we are again. We're going to do some painting and kind of pick up where we left off in the morning. And wanted to show you that the spearmen that we had worked on are now dry. So we're going to base these guys. And see if they can join the guys that are ready. So let's see, what we need to do is get some chocolate brown. That's going to be our first base color. Viejo chocolate brown. And yeah, hop to it. Let's get this, of course, squared away again, even though, let's see. All right, I'm gonna work on these guys right here. Now, I'm gonna cover the entire stand in this color. So let's get kind of a finer detail brush and get in here and paint in around the legs. We finished up this morning, but this thing's probably been drying for about 8 hours or so, so they're plenty dry now, the Liquitex is. Let's take it off that to be able to manipulate it a little bit better. But I like to get these guys complete, that way we don't go into the week with unfinished stands. Because as I've mentioned before, there's no guarantee that I'm going to get a lot of painting able to be done Monday through Friday. So let's make sure this is up and okay, good. All right. I probably could have painted this a couple hours ago. I just wasn't home. I was running errands, so I'm not sure if it says on the actual instructions how long. I guarantee it's not less than 24 hours. Those instructions are always above and beyond by an extreme amount. All right, now we could probably go to something bigger because this is honestly pretty small. I not make it too difficult. Yeah, we could probably do this guy right here. Ah, wrong brown. having it right next to him. Wrong brown. Thanks for answering my questions this morning. I sent you a friend invite on Facebook. I'm Jonathan B. Okay? And there you are. Cool. Yeah, I use the hell out of Facebook. It's really good for hobby stuff. So we'll, Jonathan, it's right outside of Paris. Okay, if I remember correctly. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I think France is five or six most popular in subscribers. So it's number one is definitely UK. Actually, come to think of it, I don't know if it's subscribers. It might just be people that watch the channel. UK is number one. Like 36% of the people is UK. Obviously, it changes all the time. US is 32%, and then everybody else is just fills in the rest. I believe Australia is number three. France is four or five for sure. So, and I understand there's kind of a there's some people in France that play DVA. So I can't imagine what French barqueries could be like. Sounds nightmarish. And I don't mean the French part. Cool. Got got some French armies to do. I've got two, I think. I guess two. Ordnance A and B, and those I can actually play them separate of each other. Because I did not want to use the same knights. The ones I did for the French Ordnance B, those I did for the French invasion of Italy, and not the other. I'm not the other one. So I probably could have used the same knights and nobody would have known except me and them. I just decided to paint some other knights. So one of these days I'll get around to doing 100 Years' War French army, but or feudal French. I wanted to do feudal French. That'd be a that'd be a good one to do as well. The feudal French army that has the Springald's. I want to say it's book 4B that has that artillery bolt launching medieval thing. I think I've got to make one of those. I'm not sure anybody makes one. So I'm more worried about the crew that would go with it than the actual machine. But yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I got you mixed up with somebody else then. You're in Tehachapi, California. Never been out of the USA. Oh, whoops. Sorry, dude. I got you mistaken with somebody else that I met recently and seemed like a nice guy like you as well. I know who he is. Okay. You guys were just both on at the same time this morning. That's what it is. My apologies. Let's finish this up here. I was wondering why somebody from France would still be up at almost midnight on a work night, but there you go. There's your answer. You're not from France at all. Techa Tehachipi. Tehachipi. I'm gonna have to look up where that is. Yeah, I use Facebook a lot. I think it's great for this. People complain about it. I don't complain about Facebook. You don't like something, just don't comment it. Don't go to negative places. I actually had to cut down the number of groups I was in, because I was in way too many groups, and some of them just didn't really get much bang out of the buck out of them. So my only complaint really with Facebook is if you find something as you're scrolling, and you go and check something else out, and then you want to go back and try to find it, it's like gone. If you didn't pay attention to see what group it was in, it's gone. So, but it's great, really easy to post pictures, and that's very important. So, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Yeah, but I use Facebook a lot, and I like it a lot. But what I don't like is, and they're kind of a thing of the past at this point, those Yahoo groups, because they all went away, or using regular email. And I mean regular email for like my hobby related stuff. Because invariably you'll get like a bunch of people they'll all be on one. You copy a bunch of them, like maybe it's the people in your game group or something like that, and you'll ask a question, or somebody will ask a question. It goes out to like 8 people, and then one person responds, but only responds to the one person on there. Doesn't copy everybody else. Somebody else will copy everybody else, and a third person will answer, but he'll answer the same thing somebody else said because they didn't notice that it's just it's discombobulated, especially if you've got some people that are having the email converted to like a message on their phone, and you can't tell who said what, and it's just like, just get me out of it. I don't like email at all. I don't like email at all for hobby stuff. There was a time and a place for it, and it was called the early 2000s, and or earlier, and that's it. Not now. I got one of the people in, I guess our local or one of our Florida DBA player, and he just refuses to use Facebook. He's like, nah, it's too divisive. I'm like, well, then you're gonna miss out on all the stuff that we post. You know, sorry, dude. I can't make a I can't make a separate email. I can't do double the work. So we tried it. We did it that way for many years. It's just really frustrating. I'm sure you guys they have the same thing that happened with people at work. You'll send one email to everybody, so everybody's in on the loop that needs to know, and then then one of them replies to only you directly. Nobody else knows, and you still keep kicking the same football around. And it's like, man, we got stuff to do. We ain't got time for that. So, anywho, I digress. Okay, so this is the base color of the chocolate brown on these guys, and my intent is to make them look like this. This is what their sister spear stand will look like. So the first thing is just this chocolate brown overall. Okay. All right. The next color we're gonna get, I gotta find my glasses so I can find myself here, is I believe it's called U.S. Field Drab, and U.S. Field Drab. There is. And we're gonna get a dry brushing board. I don't want a dry brush on here because then I'll be distracted with crap on here. I believe I have a dirty board already that I've been using for that. I could be mistaken. May have thrown it away. Well, this one's got some cutting and stuff that I did on it, so we'll use that one for it. Move this off to the side. Yeah, I like Facebook. Even though every 30 seconds I'm reminded to register to vote. Even though I've, been registered to vote since I turned 18, which is what, 30 years ago? Over 30 years ago. You should know I'm registered to vote. You're already suggesting things for me. All right. These guys. Let's use them on here. And all I do is this is just a way to keep from me painting all over myself and transferring that paint somewhere else. So sorry, I misspelled it. Tehachapi. It's like Tehachapi. Oh, Tehachapi. Okay. In the mountains north of LA County. Oh, shit. I hope you're a good firefighter. Your pictures are super inspiring for painters and sculptors. Oh, so you were the guy that was sculpting this morning, the German guys. Hopefully I didn't get that wrong too. Yeah, sculpting is, dude, if you sculpt figures, I'm in awe of people. Well, I haven't seen your work now. Any sculpting. The worst figures you can see that I've seen still are really well done, and I'm always fascinated by people that sculpt but then don't paint. I've run a couple people like, oh, I do sculpt figures, but man, your paintings like looks really difficult. Dude, you're inventing shit out of nowhere. I'm just doing paint by numbers without the numbers. It's all a trick. Everything's a trick that we all do. Let's put some more here. All right, we're just gonna dry brush. We're gonna get a brush that we don't have a lot of love for. We don't mind if something bad happens to it. One that's seen its heyday. And neither one of these two, they're in two. This one will work. This one that I use for the base color. That one will work. Tehachapi. Yeah, north of LA, that's where the fires and so forth. Yeah, earthquakes and fires. Holy shit. I can't do with rumbles and stuff. No, that's creepy. I got too many things hanging on the wall that spend hundreds of hours painting and stuff. I don't want to replace them. So are you sculpting in 15 millimeter? And if you're sculpting in 15 millimeter, or if you're not, same thing. There any sculptors out there that you admire, that you really like their work? What is a sculptor like? There's certainly sculptors I like. I did a thread. I don't know if I put it on I forget where I put it, but my threads kind of went. It was on Facebook, but I don't remember what groups I posted it to. I'm pretty sure I posted it to about 7, 8 groups, which was probably a bad idea because I got lots of comments and lots of really interesting, lots of different interesting opinions that I can't go back and find them because I don't remember what group they were in. But I guess I could probably do a search for sculptor and it was probably either Ancients or Medieval page or the War Gamers page or one of those, whatever. But I posed a question about a month ago, maybe it was 2 months ago, and I said, you know what, the everybody knows the figure companies like Old Glory and Essex and Minifigs and stuff like that. But other than Kurosan, who uses, we'll call them mercenary sculptors, and I don't mean that in an ugly way. I just mean that Kurosan Miniatures has probably 7 to 8, maybe even more, different sculptors that they've used, whether it's on a contract basis or whatever. But they did a really good job of saying, hey, these are the figures and they're sculpted by so and so. I think their first figures were their Coruscanian figures were sculpted by Sandra Garrity. And I remember when they came out, they were very prominent saying, hey, these are our figures and this is the sculptor who it is. And then they did another figures and oh, this is a different sculptor, it's so and so. So, but I think for the most part, the sculptors really do not get the credit they deserve, and their names kind of get lost. So, I asked, I said, hey, can somebody give me an idea in 15s, because I'm not really interested in 28s, but what are the names of these folks that are very prolific? Like, what's the name of the sculptor who does all the Essex stuff? He's obviously done a crap ton of work, but nowhere on their website does it say who he is, and the reason I brought that up was because I have bought figures specifically because of a certain sculptor. I got in the first figures I ever painted were 20 millimeter World War II figures, and they were by a sculptor named Dave Alsop, and he's no longer around anymore. I understand he died in a car accident in the early '90s, but he was extremely prolific. He did all of the he did many 20 millimeter figure ranges and some 25s as well for Old Glory. He was a founding member of Old Glory, the way I understand it, him and the current owner. And I absolutely love his sculpting style of his figures. Just amazing. But, unless you know it, they don't, they kind of get the raw end of the deal, I think. Look at the guy that did all the minifigs. I mean, the minifigs, they have a ton. They're kind of like Essex. They have, all of their figures are very intensive lines, and they all are based on, stuff that you'd see in the Armies and Enemies book by War Games Research Group, stuff based like that. But they don't give any credit to. So I'm curious what sculptors you happen to like as a sculptor, you know, or you might just be one of those guys that, hey, my stuff's the best. I don't like anybody else. And I doubt that's the case. I doubt that's the case. But I just think the sculptors kind of get a raw end of the deal. That's a that's a difficult job. I grew up doing miniatures. We mainly did GHQ stuff. So when I was doing GHQ, you're not dealing with soft angles. You're dealing with right angles, whether it's a piece of equipment or a tank or something like that. You're for the most part not painting figures themselves. So I thought that somehow there was a master that was large that they made it, and they found a way to reduce it on a smaller one, maybe like 3D printing or something like that. Even though 3D printing hadn't even close to come out yet, but no, this stuff is done in 1-to-1 scale, and I'm like, I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that somebody's out there making 1/25th scale Tiger tank, and you know, I was kind of amazed. But I think their contribution kind of gets lost. You know. Okay, so we've got that done. Now we're going to do the final color, which is also known as Iraqi sand, regardless of whether or not sand in Iraq really looks this color. And you can't even read what this is or what number it is, but it's Vallejo or Iraqi sand. All right, let's grab. Where did I put that thing? Oh, I just dropped it in here. How careless of me. Yeah, I went to a craft store today. That was not my intention, but the wife went somewhere next door, and I didn't want to go there, so I decided to go to the craft store. I went to Michael's and saw if they had restocked on their craft paints, and I think they were in worse shape than the last time I saw them, which was really bad shape. So places are definitely having restocking issues, but it's not a big deal. It's just I only use those craft paints for like if I'm doing terrain and stuff, and I still got enough to go on, but it's sad seeing the stores kind of half-ass stocked. So we're just gonna get the big stuff in here, and then we'll have to come in and why are you sliding on me? Why are you sliding? Okay. And then I'm used to pretty much rolling from one thing to something else. So I'm not used to waiting for things to dry. But the exception is going to be when I'm done with this final dry brush. We're going to paint the edges in black of the stand. And then we'll wait for that to dry before we put the grass and tufts and stuff on there because we don't want to put the glue down, dip these figures in the tuft blend, and then the black paint on the edge of the stand is still wet. And then we have a different type of problem. So. Not that I can't fix it. I just don't want to go back and correct things if I can just, be careful. All right, let's go to that small brush here. Let's go the smaller brush with the same color. Coming to the end of my World War II early war, another 2 or 3 weeks, and should be done. Next is a Norman DBA 15mm Army. Perfect. And you're in Norman country, aren't you? You're at the UK, or Norman invasion country. I just caught. I did a tiny little bit of TV viewing, tiny little bit because I don't really watch TV. But I'd heard some people talking about that new Netflix show, Barbarians, and so I decided to watch one episode of it, and I guess it was mildly entertaining. But yeah, I took one of the people's suggestions that said just listen to it in subtitles, and certainly. But fancy Normans in Italy, you bet. I've got all my Normans in Italy picked out. I got an Italian Norman army picked out for Italy. You got any interest in seeing them? I don't have them painted, but I got the figures picked out from different manufacturers. If you want to stick around, I'll pull them out and show you what I got. I think they're all primered. I primered them in black. That happens a lot. Like I'll go and get all the figures together, put them all together on bases. I'm good to go, and all of a sudden, like, oh, shiny. Move on to something else. I'm trying to not do that anymore with the videos, but Let me know if you want me to show you my Italian Normans that I have picked from different figure ranges. Maybe you'll find that interesting. I'm pretty sure I know where they are. I love talking figures. Love it. I surf a lot, so you can't help but learn stuff, or who makes what, or whose figures look like that, or somebody will say, "Hey, I got these figures, and this is what they look like," and I'm like, "Oh, those are the ones from so and so." Well, how do you know that? I said, "I surf a lot. I'm useless when it comes to figure manufacturers that don't have pictures, but still, you can kind of get an inkling of who they are based on the style that they're done in." Going to use old glory figures they've been knocking around for a while. Yep, I got some of mine in there too. Yep, I like those old glory horses. They look the part. Even though someone I know was on a rant on his channel several, maybe even a year ago, saying how just like the Mongols needed to be on ponies, the Normans, the horses the Normans used should also be ponyish, and was stating the reasons why. I'm like, no, okay, I'm not replacing. First of all, it doesn't look right, and second of all, I'm not replacing all the horses that I have for all these guys. So, you know, hey, when it's your army, you can do whatever the hell you want. So, I won't be putting my Normans on ponies. Let's put it that way. You'd be interested in your mix of figure manufacturers. Awesome. So here's what we're gonna do. We gotta wait for these guys to dry a little bit. We're gonna paint the edge in black. We'll make sure we've got this all the way where we need to, and then we'll go grab them, and that'll allow some time for these guys to dry out. Okay. And I think I've got everything where I want it. So let's paint black. Now I do not waste good paint on this. I don't know why, because I've never had it scuff with this El Cheapo paint, but this is folk art licorice. And if I run out of this stuff, I may have to mail order it, even though it's like freaking $6 mail ordered, and it's like $1.50 in the store. But the stores just aren't carrying it. There you go. Let's put this big old black turd. There we go. All right. Good. That'll give me something to do while I'm waiting for the stuff to dry. So, look, you're being useful, and you didn't even know it. Okay. I'm pretty sure I know what they are. I know they're in a little Tupperware, and they're not loose. So, yeah, I've done that on several armies. I'll put them together, and then, you know, this is the mix that I want. It makes sense. And then, okay, well, that was fun. Let me go on to something else. So I'm trying to avoid doing that. Now, if you guys are painting the edge of the stand, I'll give you a tip. Don't use, and this makes no sense why this is the case. Don't use a brush that has a square edge. It doesn't work as well. So the first time I painted the edge of the stands, I'm like, oh, okay, well, these multi-packs I buy at the El Cheapo place always have these multi-packs, and they've got these flat edge brushes. I'm like, oh, good, those will be good for like painting the edge of the stand. Nope. I ended up getting a bunch of this of the black on the top side of the stand, and didn't really help. So I think I found the only thing I can use for those that are useful is painting some of the landscape stuff that I've done. But I'm not painting that much landscape stuff for the backgrounds of these folks. So these Hungarians won't have a new landscape for them. So if I was like going to work on an Indian army, I'd have a new one. But don't plan on painting a new landscape background for I said landscape. I meant a background for when I take pictures of these things. So, okay, one more edge, and then we can go look for those Normans, Italian Normans, not Norman Normans. And you'll reckon if you plan on using Old Glory, you'll recognize some of the figures. But yeah, I distinctively wanted an Italian Norman list, not a 1066 Hastings Normans. Okay, there we go. Let's put this guy here. Hello. And let's go hunt for the box. All right, let's close this up, move these things out of the way. We're not going to need this thing again while we're doing this process, so let me find the lid and we'll get her out of the way. All right. Let's go and search up. Now, if I had to guess where they are, I need to look out anyways. I'm gonna say they're in here. Good Lord, I weighed this the other day. It was damn near 50 pounds. £50 of lead. Let's see. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna look in here. No. 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 Alright, here's the first Tupperware. Nope. That's not it. What's this one? Found it. Huh. That was easy. Yay. Alright, I'm gonna leave this out so I can find them easy. Well, I was expecting that to take 10 times longer. Excellent. Alright. Okay, so what I don't have in there, and this was for the Sicilian army. So this is these are the guys that I had picked out to do the Sicilians. So, you know, half their damn army is Saloy. So their Saloy is all Muslim looking guys. So, yeah, I've got an archer here, and I didn't focus that on what the figures are. So let me pull the knights off and show you what I've got knight-wise. And I think I got the crossbowman stand. This is another one of these armies from hell choices, because I believe if it serves me right, you have a choice of a spear or a crossbow stand, and you want both. And the rest are knights and mandatory Saloy. So, yeah, that kind of sucks. So let's get these guys over here. And I would have already built this army, but somebody I know already has a Norman army. So let's move these knights out of the way. Hello. Move these knights out of the way. And do the spearmen first. So here's a stand of spearmen for the Norman army. And let's see if I can do a little zoom in on these guys. Let's adjust this. Okay. And we'll twist this like this. And thank you. I don't know why I struggle with this thing so much, but I do. This should suffice. Hold on a second. Let's put that there tight. And there's like a limp weenus sometimes, I swear. Okay, and let's focus there. And I will see if I can bring them on with some background so you can see. So here is my one stand of the Norman spearmen. I specifically got the Old Glory guys that have the scale armor. Okay, so if you look at the Old Glory Norman spearmen, you've got standard guys that have chainmail, and then you got guys that have scale mail, and their helmets are a little bit different. If you notice their helmets, most of the Norman helmets look kind of like this that Old Glory has. Let's see if I can get something in the background. They've got basically like a detail around the edge and on the nose piece, almost like the reinforcement. Or they'll have reinforcement on like the crest and stuff like that. But these spearmen that come in here are not like that. They have scale mail armor, and they have a helmet that has no reinforcing on it. It is just very smooth looking, and with it's still a nasal, it's still conical, but it has no reinforcing. And if you look in some of the Osprey books, you'll see Italo-Norman guys that look like this. So I'm like, okay, this guy's definitely going to be one of them. And then this guy's a different pose, same figure. So I'm like, well, these two guys are definitely going to be in it because I wanted the spearmen to be irregular, okay, irregular looking, not all uniform. And then here is a Norman figure from, it might even be from the Spanish Norman range from Museum, okay, because the Spanish Normans are going to be, they're going to have more of an Arab influence. So I want to give a guy here, it's got a round shield, okay. And then here's another one from the same range. This is a Museum guy. So these are the four guys I was going to pick for my Norman spear stand, my Sicilian spear stand, I should say, because I didn't want to just build a regular Norman army with a normal Norman composition, and just and make them look like Italian Normans. I wanted to actually do like the Sicilian. It's called the Sicilian list, but it starts at 1072. So they just assumed that they were already settled in this area. Okay. All right. So that's what I'm going to use for the spearmen. So you have to order some of the spears in scale. They look interesting. I will check out Museum as well. So if you order the Old Glory, if you have Old Glory spearmen, the Norman set has multiple poses, and two of the poses in there actually have them in scale armor. There's not like a pack that says scale. It just happens to have that. Okay, moving on to the crossbowmen. You have a standard crossbowman. And again, I wanted these. I think these are all different. They are. These guys are all Museum. So, and some of these are from the Crusades range, and some of these are from the El Cid range. And this is the figures here. Let's see if we can zoom in on these guys a little bit. You know, they have conical helmets. This guy is just like a standard Norman guy. Some guys decided not to Arab it up, but these other guys have protection around their neck protection, you know, like from the sun. And that's the guys I'm using for the crossbowman stand. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes knights. Oh, and I also have some. These guys are bowmen from Museum from the El Cid range as well. These guys here. So these guys are actually the same figure. I'm just going to mix them in with some Arab archers. I got Arab archers all over the place. So, oh, hello. All right, Norman Knights. All right, so there are some that are just straight Old Glory. Again, just like those spearmen, this is a conical helmet with no reinforcing and scale armor, which if you look at the Osprey book is really similar to the Italo-Norman guys. Okay, so this is one of them. I bet there's another guy like that in a different pose. I believe every one of these figures is all individual. They look, everybody's his own man. That may be the only knight that's, nope, here's another one that's just looking off to the side. He is also an Old Glory figure with the scale armor as well. And I love these Old Glory horses because they look like a tank that's going to run you over. So they're not ponies. So we got those two. All right, then oh, I lied. I guess there's a third pose. Same thing, non-reinforced helmet, and he's wearing scale armor. This is not a guy I would want to use if I was building guys for Hastings, because there's nothing you ever see any pictures with scale mail up there. So I just figured, well, then it's an Italian thing. The thing that gave it away is also like the helmet. Any of the Hastings stuff that I see, you rarely see a Norman helmet that doesn't have any kind of reinforcement on it. It doesn't have to be heavy reinforcement, just like some extra stuff on there. These are literally smooth completely. So, all right. So let's get into some other stuff. And oh man, I've got every time I say that's all of them for those guys, I lie. Hey, it's only a lie if you do it intentionally. Here is another pose of the Old Glory scale mail knights, okay, from the Norman range. And this guy decided to do a little bit of green stuff and gave him a little like turban detail on his helmet, okay? Because I've got on my Spanish, on my feudal Spanish, the Spanish Normans, they have a figure that's like that as well. So, yeah, this guy's turbaned it up a little bit because that's what happened. They came to Sicily and they go, hey, we like some of these spices and perfumes and, this fine living stuff. So they kind of acquired some of that stuff as well. So this is just an Old Glory guy with that little bit of detail on him. All right, what else we got? Standard Norman guys from Old Glory. Standard Norman knights. Okay, here's one. You can see I already started dry brushing them. Of course, that was probably, hell, it was probably 10 years ago when I was working on this stuff. That's a guy, this is one of their medium cavalry. Okay, also Norman. See how this helmet is kind of reinforced as opposed to a smooth one? Yeah, so got one of those guys. Here's another one of those. I think they're considered medium cavalry. They just don't have any armor on them. They don't have any chainmail. But they're still Norman style figures. I figured this is a guy that I'm going to paint him with cloth, Arab influenced cloth. Okay. These two guys, they look like the same pose, but they're not. The shield's held in a different way. Those are standard Old Glory guys. Another standard Old Glory guy is this guy, and I decided to take the boss off the shield because almost all of the shields have a boss on them. So just do something a little bit different. We took the boss off the shield here, and we'll paint that like that doesn't have a boss on the front type thing. I want to just do a little bit different thing on it. This is a standard Norman knight from Old Glory. We've got a banner bearer here, and this is the banner bearer from, just like I said, there's no more of these Italian Norman knights. Here's another one. This guy's got that same type of helmet with no reinforcing, but he does have the standard chainmail on it. He doesn't have the scale mail on him, and he's got a little banner on him as well. So, also from Old Glory. This is from their command set. All right, now we start getting into three guys that are a little bit different. This guy is from the El Cid range from Museum, and this is probably like a guy that's got he's got the javelin overhand, but I figured I could mix one of these guys in there as well to give these more of an irregular appearance, and he's definitely Arabized looking as well. And just for comparison sizes, so you can see, they fit just fine in the middle of a stand, so and what else do we got here? Here's another one that's also from the El Cid range. This is Museum. This is all one-piece casting. He's got the neck guard on him and a little thing around his helmet as well. So yeah, that's good as well. And of course, who do we have last? We have Bobby Guiscard, okay, or Bohemond. Hadn't decided that long, but this is one of the command figures. He's got a helmet that has no reinforcement on it, so it's definitely going with the same theme. And he didn't have a cape, so I decided to put a green stuff cape on him and looped it around the front. So I'm kind of new at this sculpting stuff, but hell, this was done probably 10 years ago. I took the boss on him as well because he's going to have a more intricate shield on him than normal. But yeah, so I hadn't decided whether it was going to be Beaumont or Bobby Card, but yeah. So this is the guys I'm going to use for the meat and potatoes of the army. I probably would have been just fine not using the museum, but I had some museum guys, and you know, one, two. Is it just two guys? Holy crap! It's just two guys on the knights. Wow! But it just gives them enough of a different flavor, you know. These are feudal Spanish, so they're contemporaries, and and there's Joe Coton. He finally showed up at the right time. Um, but yeah, that's we've got you know, just two extra museum guys with the other ones, and just doing little variations of them. I think it'll. This is a fun army, especially because not only is this a Wimp Wars army, but this is also a Saloy Silliness army, and you know, that's get this thing to behave. But yeah, I've got these guys all set off to the side. So you know what you just did? You made me pull these guys out. So now I'm going to leave them in a more handy place because you know, maybe I might be tempted to work on them sooner rather than later. But I don't have a Norman army because of that. I mean, Mitch bought one, so there's not a big incentive for me to do that that type of thing. So anyhow, that is my Italo-Norman slash Sicilians, Normans in Sicily. So all right, we'll leave this little contraption here at the top of this pile. All right, take a little bit of a bathroom break, and I'll be right back and we can start doing the tufting on that stand. Yeah, so that was actually kind of cool. I went and you made me pull those. Well, you didn't make me pull them, but I pulled out those. I pulled out those Normans, and I hadn't looked at them in probably 10 years. That was kind of cool. That's always neat looking through old figures and realize, oh crap, I have all these guys. I didn't realize I had them. That's a good thing. So, all right, let's see if we can put this in a more. Why is this thing all like a limp noodle? Yeah, that's why you. That's what happens when you buy a Chinese piece of shit through Amazon. Well, the problem is you can't go to a store and check this stuff out because no stores really have them. Okay, so this is where we're at. We got these guys here. Here is the the grass. It's going to match these guys. Let's go get the tuftage. And let's see if somebody was talking bad about me when I left. Thanks for taking time out from the Hungarians. No problem, man. I love taking out figures. So if you guys ever have any ideas of like, hey, who would you use about this stuff? Man, that really gets my juices going. I love talking figures. So, but that was 10 years ago. So maybe there may actually be better choices out there for Italian Normans. But I'm not gonna, like I've said before in other videos, I'm not going to keep up with the Joneses. I do the best thing I can with what I have, and I'm happy with what I have because there's always somebody could come up with some other figures that you're gonna like more. But I'm not gonna be constantly spending money when what I have. Per old figures that are quote unquote crappy, still paint up great. So. You just have to be happy with what you have, not chase the ever present better castings that come out. So, um, let's see. So, you guys want figures for medieval Vietnamese? I should just cludge that army together with what's available, and then Kurosan or somebody will come up with the damn figures for him, and it'll piss me off. All right. Right. We do the tufts later. We might cut some of them in half. Let's. I do not go about this methodically by any stretch of the imagination. Let's find a brush that we do not have a serious relationship with. Again, let's use, because we're going to put Elmer's glue on it. We can use this same little tab. I use the hell out of this cardboard stuff. This is, unless I'm shedding again? Not me. Okay, that should be enough. PVA. Okay, so now the black is dry enough that when I go do this next step, it's not going to create a disaster, hopefully. All right, and I kind of use this as filler from the standpoint is if I see something where I don't like how this Liquitex, when it met the base of the figure, looks, I kind of use this I can kind of cover up things that don't look ideal. So we're going to put some here and some over here. Here. I saw something on another page, and what was it? I think it was on the History of Byzantium podcast. I think that's what it was. This is a guy that kind of took off after the History of Rome guy did. The History of Rome podcast is excellent. If you've never heard that, that's a great one. And but he stopped at 476. So this other guy has taken off afterwards, and I don't want to poo-poo him, but let's just say it's not the same. I'm not enjoying it as much as the History of Rome. So I kind of stopped watching it listening to it for a while. And but I still subscribe to their Facebook page, and they posted this shield. They posted this knight with this shield design on them, and it's supposed to be Bohemond. and the shield design on it actually looked like a something that would be on, say, Palm Sunday. It was like a palm frond type thing on a light background, and supposedly it was supposed to be Bohemond. And I thought that was really strange because if you listen to the stuff at the on the if you look for the Hotville arms are, I know this is kind of the infancy of heraldry at the time, but the Hotville arms are a blue background with red stripes across them horizontally, and or opposite way, however you want to look at it, red with blue stripes horizontally across it. Multiple ones like the Hungarians are, like these Hungarians are. Maybe not that many, maybe not that tight, but that's kind of what their arms are. And and so this was a totally different thing. So I asked him, I said, "Hey, where did you get this stuff from?" Because I thought it was. If you read one of the stuff on the First Crusades, when he ended up taking, when Bohemond came in and he took Antioch, it says that he raised his red banner over the city. So you already know that the prominent color in it needs to be red. I mean, that's how I read it. But nothing else of any devices or anything that might be on the shield tell you that. But that was um, that was kind of interesting that they showed that description of that. That just it looked totally out of place. So that's one of those things that's kind of like, when you're doing figures, sometimes things might be correct, but in your mind they don't look right. So it doesn't mean you have to do them. So I probably, if I was going to paint that leader in there and make him Beaumont, I probably would not do the palm frond thing. It just doesn't look right. So it's not like it's a shitty design. It's not like it's a design with a guy bent over blowing a horn out of his ass or something really embarrassing. But it just didn't seem like to go with anything else. So especially because Beaumont was a freaking, by any stretch of the imagination, was a freaking badass. So he was one of those. He just went in face first and stuff. So it doesn't seem to be a very peaceful guy. But anyhow, no idea what Bobby Guiscard's would have on his shield, but I'm sure I would figure it out once I did that army, or come up with something that looks seems plausible. So, but yeah, that stuff would make a freaking great movie until they ruined it all and told it all wrong. So, you should make a movie about a whole miniseries of just the First Crusades, which is just insane, the kind of stuff that happened. You just don't even have to change anything. So, so if you guys watch any of our battle videos that we do, we know that one of the people that plays with us has a fetish for, rutabagas. So the little that kind of a background story behind that is, I used to call turnip fields because and I don't remember who it is. I apologize who it is, but it's a person that does medieval and well, they, I don't know if they do ancients, but they certainly do medieval games. And when I was looking for on one of my searches of paint schemes, I came across their website, and they're very prolific. They do a lot of figures, and they paint them in 28 millimeter. Okay, and this was a Crusades game that they were running, and they had made, I don't even know what set of rules they were using, but this was many years ago when it came out. It might be as 10 years or maybe even longer. But this scenario, they had a scenario for the Crusades, and it was called, they called it the Parable of the Holy Turnip. And the premise behind it was that there was, and this is kind of based in the stuff that really happened, or people write about in the First Crusade. They'd find some kind of quote unquote holy device, or I'm sure the Muslims did it as well, but this is mainly the Christians. They would come up with some holy device, or this is Jesus's toothpick or something like that, and they would just go ballistic. Like they've got to capture this thing because it has some kind of supernatural power. And this one in particular, with the story that this guy wrote, was they had found this an unusually large turnip. I'm paraphrasing here, so if I don't get it completely right, I apologize. But I love the story; it was excellent. But there was this. The Christians found out that there was a particular field that had one of the farmers had dug up a a rather large turnip, and it was very similar in shape to a cross. So they thought immediately that it was going to give them supernatural powers. So that was the whole purpose of the mission in that game, was that they needed to take this one field of the holy turnip, and that's when I started. I'd read that a while ago, and I'm like, oh, these fields, they're full of turnips and stuff. That's how turnips came. And then Mitch took it a step further and started calling them rutabagas. So I guess ultimately it's my fault. I wouldn't have called them rutabagas because I've lived in Florida my whole life, so I don't know what the hell that is. That's some kind of Yankee thing you put in your mouth. So I don't know what the hell those things are, or rhubarb, or none of that stuff. So, but that's how the whole rutabaga thing started. Isn't he likes the calling it rutabaga. Maybe it's a thing up in Illinois where he's from that they have those a lot. But yeah, that was the parable of the holy turnip. So that in my Japanese army, my samurai Japanese army, I built the army based on one of the Osprey books. I designed it against one of the warlords named Wesugi. I think that's how you say his name. And his stuff is showcased. It's like 10 or 20 years after the DBA period, but still. And Osprey made a battle book of Kawana Kajima, which is Wesuji and his nemesis, which was Takeda. And the in here, there I wanted to do the Weisugi guys because the Takeda guys are like all mostly are like red armored, and I'm like, I don't really want that thing. But one of the cavalry units, and the commander uses this symbol, which is actually like a radish. So I already had kind of what you call it on the brain. Let's see if I can find a better picture of him. One of his commanders of the field. Here it is. One guy even has a big old grasshopper. Oh, young grasshopper. But this is spicy radish, you know. So maybe that's the stuff that they grind down and they make wasabi out of. So, which I love wasabi. But anyhow, so yeah, that was radish, turnip, that sort of thing. That's how we kind of got on that thing. So this is another one of those armies I got to convert to 3.0 because right now it's stuck in 2.2 land, and a really cool army, but it needs to be updated. So let's see, we got a couple comments here. Doug Sesams, wish I could paint the way you do. You make it look so easy, and the menus look great. Any suggestions that will help me improve? Um, just stay at it, man. Just realize that there's no way. I don't think there's any shortcuts you can do to make your figures better. You just need to just stay at it. There's people that blow me away, but I think that I've been pretty consistent in how my stuff looks over the last 20 years, 25 years. So I'm very happy with that because there's nothing worse than painting figures and then you like them, and then like 20 years later you change your painting style and you got to do them again, and that's just kind of annoying. Nobody wants to do that. So the important thing is that you're happy with them, because that's sometimes the hardest thing to do, is please yourself. So but yeah, it is. Do I make it look pretty easy? I don't know if I make it look pretty easy. I think it's pretty easy. I don't think any of this stuff that I'm doing is difficult at all. It's mindless. I've just don't done it so long that that's what experience comes in. You do something for so long that you realize when you're on the wrong track, and you can like stop before the whole train gets derailed, and that's where experience comes in. So, because otherwise you get all the way to the end and then realize, oh, this didn't turn out well. Well, what did I do wrong? If you've done it many different times, then you kind of know what steps you need to take to kind of get the results that you want. I'm gonna put this tuft right here. Hopefully there's not any biting ants in there. I'm gonna drive these guys crazy. All right, and we're gonna put this other one. Let's let's put it back here. All right, so we're gonna put a little bit of, and these are supposedly self-adhesive, but no, they're not self-adhesive at all. So we're just gonna grab these little guys, and these are from Gamer's Grass. I found these at Historic. I didn't find them. The vendor brought them. I discovered them. I discovered them for me in Historicon in 2018. So this was just another way to use other tufts that weren't the ones from Army Painter. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but it's just nice to have different varieties. So we're gonna have that there, and let's put one of these back here. But so if you do not want to do Normans, how about Cominian Byzantines? They have really good mix of troop types. That's the next army I have on the list, as opposed to Italian Normans. Okay, so Cominian Byzantine, funny story. I've got a Cominian Byzantine army that I picked up from somebody for extremely cheap. And I love the figures. They're from a French sculptor who he didn't have a shop or anything. His name is Alain Toulaire. My Koreans are from him, and they're out of production because the guy's passed away maybe 6 years ago, or whatever. So I've got most of a Cominian Byzantine army to do. I've got the figures for him, so I'll probably supplement them with some of the old Glory guys, some of the old Glory Knights. So. Yeah, they're on my to-do list. Mitch is dying for me to do the Byzantines, but I've kind of got on this kick now where I like doing these armies that are wimpy, and you can make the Cominian Byzantines wimpy, but let's put this over here. Should be fine. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a fancy. The problem with the Cominian Byzantines is I've got to cogitate, okay, how am I going to paint the knights' shields? I'm not going to make them all the same. Am I going to make them all different? Am I going to make each stand of knights have the same shield pattern? I think that's what I'm going to do. And anyhow, but it involves me buying some figures, which is why I haven't done them yet. But I've got probably 75% of the army already, and they're really pretty figures. So Cominian Byzantines, yep. Yeah, because it'd be cool to do a whole Crusades time period stuff. So at the time of the Crusades, must have been thousands of Jesus milk teeth, and a few heads of John the Baptist. Exactly. Patience is essential for painting. It is. It is. It is a slow marathon. It is. I've heard stories of people that got a whole DVA army painted in a weekend. That's either a really long weekend or somebody's doing some serious cocaine. I just don't see how that's possible. I just don't see how it's possible. But my whole goal with painting is I want to paint the best I can and not look at it a month later and say, man, I wish I hadn't done it this way and taken my time. I don't want to have that feeling. So, okay. Bam, they're done. How about it? Let's put these guys here with the other folks. Let's put them next to the other spearmen. But I think what I'm going to do is, I think in the future I'm going to do a boring army and a busy army. This would be considered a busy army with the heraldry and stuff. My Irish would be considered a boring army because I don't want to paint too many guys that are just really kind of boring and don't have really much to linen colors and that kind of stuff. And I don't want to paint heraldry after heraldry after heraldry. We want to mix it up. So there we go. Hey, I got the autofocus to work right. Look at that. Too bad it's not in 1080. I don't know why, but it isn't. There it is. Well, I'm really happy with how that turned out. I don't know if these guys will fight worth a damn, but yeah. So we got spear, a solid blade, and a skirmisher. That's right. I didn't say that PS word. I'm gonna try not to do that in the future. I think it's nothing against Greek words, but these guys aren't Greek, so you shouldn't be calling them that. That's funny. These guys aren't Italian, but these guys are considered Armati. But anyhow, yeah. So now we're 4 stands in, and also a couple light horse guys in. These aren't sealed completely, so man, I guess the lighting is just right in this spot. Perfect. I have trouble getting the lighting right. You know, maybe that's what I need to remember how this is and take photos this way. Yeah, so we got those guys in. What do we have left to do after that? We've got two more light horse because these guys are completely done. Well, they're not sealed, but they're completely done. We got two more light horse, both in the same pose with different horses, also by Essex. Are all these guys Essex? The Armati is not. These guys are Roundway. Everybody else is Essex. All these guys here. All right, and got a couple of hussars as well. And we'll paint all of these light horse and then worry about who's on what stand. So that's what we're going to do next for sure is work on these. We're going to leave the hussar guys for last. Okay, well, we're going to work on these two guys next, and that'll be the next thing that we do. And then after that, I'll probably do the knights, which there is a crap ton of knights to do. So some of these guys here from museum, and some Essex guys as well, so forth. So anyhow, I'm probably going to do some of the earlier units as well because I made the mistake yesterday of watching a video on the Battle of Varna and realized, oh, I could do Matthias's dad, Janos Hunyadi, as well, and he had Polish allies, and I've got Polish knights to paint, so I know, just going down the Eastern European rabbit hole. But anyhow, that's probably all we're gonna do for tonight. I've got to do some family time stuff, so but anyway, thanks for joining me, and now I don't want to say a third of the army's done because this Hungarian project is probably going to be somewhere around 17 or 18 stands, not counting the allies, because I'm planning on doing some Wallachians and some Poles as well. So not and maybe some Serbs as well, because I found out that they could have Voynuks, and man, I'd love to do some those Voynuk blade guys because I've got figures of them. They're beautiful figures. So Rick, there you were lurking. I loved your display case thing. I've run out of space, and I like yours. I like that it's illuminated, but I wish that they made display cases more for those of us that need smaller things, and have less airspace between the ledges. Because I think you've got 3 levels, not counting the one on the bottom. And I would probably need. I like the size of that one. That's nice, and but I would probably want to have at least double the levels, if not more than that. Right now, what I use for a display case is I lucked out, and at IKEA they make a wall unit called a Burtby, Brtby. It's now been discontinued, and people are like, if you go and search IKEA Burtby, there's a couple of carpenters that said, okay, if you want to make your own Burtby cabinet, this is the dimensions of the glass you have to do and get all of that. And I'm like, I'm not going to carpentry anything, okay, because my skills are like limited to this. This is what I do. Other stuff, is I'm not a carpenter, but I guess I lucked out getting that, and it's got like 7 or 8 levels. It's smaller. It's maybe I'll have to do a video of all that stuff on there. Right now, most of my figures aren't in there. They're on my trays to carry them from place to place. But each level is probably like a foot by maybe a foot and a half. So I could fit 3 DBA armies on each level, and I'm out of space. And so I don't know that I need another display case because I can just keep them in the cases as I travel with them. But it's nice to have that out there. It's I wish I had better illumination, but it's just one of those things. These things are pretty. There's no reason they need to be hidden somewhere. So as long as they're not in direct sunlight, it's not like they're going to fade or anything. But anyhow, I liked your display case, so I got a kick out of that. So anyhow, so this is the Hungarian project is not a third done, but we're on our way, turning out okay. Happy with how they are. They might be rural wimps when it comes to fighting, but we'll see. That's irrelevant. They're going to be fighting my Ottomans, and my Ottomans suck. So unfortunately, I love the way my Ottomans look. So we may have to dumb these guys down to make them a reasonable fight against the Ottomans, because these war just the war wagon, just the 2 war wagons alone would just eat up the Ottomans, something fierce. There's nothing they could do really to deal with them other than shoot their artillery piece at it. But anyhow, I've digressed. But that's it for tonight. And unfortunately, we will not have a lot of painting to do this week because it's a work week and not a lot of that stuff happens. But we are planning on filming tomorrow. I don't know whether we will have 4 people or 5 people, but we are planning on filming, so we should have another series of battles. A theme, I don't remember if we've done it before. I want to say we were planning on doing it, and then the COVID hit. So the looking forward to the war wagons. I was too, and then I had the little war wagon mishap, which is it's going to be rectified here shortly. But we'll leave those guys for last, anyways, because each one of them is going to be like a little mini diorama and stuff. So I look forward to doing that. But yeah, COVID hit, so we didn't do any 2020 games. I don't remember if we've done this one before. So I won't spill the beans, because if something weird happens and we have to change our mind at the last minute, we don't want you guys to have the rug pulled out from under you. But ain't nothing worse than saying, "Hey, we're going to do armies of the 100 Years' War," and the next thing you know, well, what are you doing the Crusades for? Well, shit happened. So we don't want those changes. I have enough changes in my regular job I get paid for that I don't want any in my personal life. But there should be a video up, and we'll try to get out on Tuesday if we can. Last time, I think last time was record time. Try to do a minimum of editing and get that out for you guys to enjoy. And I could tell you it's not going to be my Irish, unfortunately. I'm not going to be able to use those guys, but that's okay. That means I'll be sober. Uh, Anyhow, so we'll catch you guys with a new video here in probably a couple days, and enjoy your work week. I'm not looking forward to that, but anyhow, good things to come, and I'm glad you guys are enjoying it, and appreciate you guys keeping me company. You guys got any figures you guys want to know or advice or whatever, just like we did those Sicilians? More than happy to do that, and talk figures, because that's what I like to do. Okay, folks, enjoy the last vestiges of your weekend if you have a normal schedule, and we'll catch you guys in a couple days. See ya.